main point. When you start to move from the generative way to see, like parcours génératif, and to try to take in account in the same parcours génératif, just level, change. For one time you analyze the structure, for another time you analyze an object. Do you get the point? That's it. If you analyze how things are put together, you are in the structure. If you are in the structure as internal dependency, you analyze the structure. You are from the ontological analysis. You are from universal grammar. But when you start to talk about the level, you talk about the object. For me, it's two things. In semiotics, you have an object. For me, is not only it's not a thing. The object is a kind of heuristical attitude you have to talk in account. It's not the same thing. That's what I would like to talk about here. To talk about this example through the novelization. But I have many other examples. But from now, I would like to talk to you about this example. Sometimes by alors ça c'était le. Là, je pense que je vais commencer à avoir peut-être besoin de ça, je crois. Ne pas inclure peut-être dans la théorie. Parce que tout ce que j'ai, c'est. So. Moving so. Ok. Je vais vous commencer peut-être par des exemples. Voilà. Parce que for me, what my methodology, so that when we talk about the meaning like this, talk about object, you are not is the major, you are not is a major structure, you are in the minor structure. The object is defined from the minor structure to the strata, the level, versus the major structure. It's a concept I catch from an anthropologist who is not Lévi-Straussien. He used to work a little bit like me. He's again Lévi-Strauss. Because for him, what's important, what is radical from Lévi-Strauss, the anthropology of Lévi-Strauss, are the relationships. And it's again the relationships. But again, he considered that we have to talk about, it's okay to talk about the relation, but we have to talk about the object. Also, an object is not a relation, it's a function. So, les termes de la relation. So that's and how to get it, you have two solutions. When you are in front of a text, or in front of a film, or in front of anything you like to, what you like to talk about is what is more le surplus, okay? Or you like to talk about the gap, l'écart. What builds the singularity or the individuality of the object is either or the surplus, no, or is the surplus, either or the écart, the gap. Is it clear? No. Pour analyser un objet, pour adopter l'attitude heuristique qui permet de concevoir la signification comme un objet du point de vue de l'objet, c'est-à-dire du point de vue de ses strata, on doit privilégier non pas la structure majeure de l'objet, mais ce qui fait écart. C'est ce que j'appelais tout à l'heure le paradoxe. Ou alors ce qui est en surplus. And that's very important. For example, that you like to say that I can explain you how to can understand this thing. He give an example. I'll give you the one example he gave. Is for example, if I ask you, okay, to analyze a religious ceremony, for example. Go to church, and I ask you to analyze church, this ceremony as a semiotician. You are a semiotician. Go try to analyze me this ceremony. Okay, when we talk about people are coming, are looking for the places, are finding the chair, they sit down, and they look at the priest who come with other people, they start to give them. Yeah, it's okay. That's it. But you analyze the ceremony. It's a kind of rituality. When you are church-ish, first step, people are coming inside, sometimes you have the priest or people who have to, take the place here and stay here, and so on and so on. Okay. And at the end, you have to stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. That's the ceremony when you are at church, If you don't like to get out, sit down, don't go to the church. You have to. And it's more difficult when you are musing, because you have to. So that's a ritual, So you can analyze this phenomenon and give the structure, the main structure. But you don't really talk about this ceremony. What's important is this ceremony is what? Because when people are at church, they are there for sometimes for many reasons. And how can I catch this? They are sit down, okay, but they have a way to get inside, okay? And to see. And if you are in the village, something you have how they look each other, Who is this? Okay. So you are not inside the structure, but this kind of information are very important. And then will help you to understand why, when you are going to church in San Bento, for example, it's different from when you are going to the church in San Jonis, for example. I don't know, you have a church in San Jonis, that's university. It's not the same thing. Because the way to look each other or the way to get in San Bento is not the same here. But it does help you to describe the structure. But it still help you to understand the individuality. So we call it the minor structure, we call it the laterality. It's something marginal. You have many marginal things who are out of the structure. And that's what help. That is the perspective of object. Is like what mainly what mainly bring you to talk about, to analyze this church, to talk about this church. Because I would like to talk about what? Not ceremony. Because, for example, people are aware there, they are kind of totally covered. It's not the kind of traditional church. Or the way they are aware and they want to. So we have to call it laterality. For example, another way to explain what I will talk about is sometimes when you are analyze narratively a situation. Okay, what is way by analyze narratively something is to see how this situation moves from one step to another progressively. Okay, for the first time you have this, at the end you have this narrativity. Okay, you have the end, and you can analyze how you reach this end. Okay, that's the narrative. So, okay, you have it. But what you see here is that what helped the narrativity to work is that because things are transformed. How things are what you can call the code action. Code action is what helps us to go from one thing to another, what is transformed inside. But when you read the text, you see that there are many transformations, but you can have two kinds of transformation. The first transformation help us to go to one situation to another. For example, okay, first time he was drunk, and then he started to talk about it. And then he started to fight. One thing for that. But in the transformation, in the narrativity, you have also some transformation inside who don't bring you to go to one step to another. You have kind of inside transformation. This transformation describes what you can call a style. Albert Piet has an example. He was used to bring, he's an anthropologist, and he made an anthropology around his own life. Very interesting. Albert Piet, It's not a semiotic, it's an anthropology, so pay attention when you start to read. Albert. Can you read what I write? And I write like a kind of so, is it clear? P-I-E-T-T-E. So, we talk about an example. For example, he used to being his, when he has two doctors, and he used to bring his doctors at school. And he described how he started, there are many events. So, first time and this, and this, and this, and this. And one day he has a problem with a woman coming with his car, and he has a problem, I don't know why, he can't describe this problem. And he has been shocked with this problem. For him, it has been a transformation. This transformation didn't have the impact in the way he used to bring, don't have impact in the change. It doesn't change the step. But it has been a kind of, it has a huge effect in the way they start to perceive this person. So we have a transformation, but it's like a passional transformation or emotional transformation. This fact doesn't have the impact of the narrative, but it has impact on the way he starts to perceive the people around this book. So, if I would like, so his analysis was about how do I manage to bring my doctor at school. But inside this, to analyze that, he talked about what event happens. So, some events made the story work. And have this kind of design doesn't help the story to work, but it has an impact. That's what's called the mood binaire. Fontani and Bremer start to analyze this thing and when we start to talk about the style, the semiotic style. Okay, so that's what I can call the mode binaire. Things which are around. And this thing, we turn back, work as kind of paradox. Have a situation, but inside it's a kind of logical situation or programmatic situation. But inside this programmatic situation, you can have some element. We talk about who is a program. A program is something that is very rational, but which can also be disturbed. That's fundamentally what a program is. But the way we define programs in semiotics now, today is like something very rational. And you have the same thing on Landowski. For Landowski, a program is something very rational, and to try to break, this definition, we talk about the risk and so on. This is a risk, okay? But for me, the risk is inside the programmation. The risk is not something who make the programmation become other. The risk, or for me, that I had this discussion with him one time. For me, the adjustment or the aliyah and something, for me, it's a kind of programmation. But seeing not as rational things, but through the things can make that this programmation is not really expressed logically. That's it. That's the point. But it's not. It's not in contradiction in his model. I try to confirm his model. His model works a lot. But what I have two problems with his model. Firstly, I think that you can put it in a square, but the solution he has is like that. It's kind of you can have many the positions are inside each other. This is the solution. Normally, for me, it's not a semiotic square. I agree with him. It's a kind of dynamic. You know, we have the first one is a program, and inside you have a kind of many dynamics. And the risk is the main predicate that help this dynamic to work. That's it. It's not in contradiction. For me, it's a kind of a particular reading of his model. That's why his model is very efficient, very très efficace, but not as a semiotic square, but as a process. And what we need to understand this process is to go through to linguistics. But we have to have this discussion with him. He's the first one to talk about what I can say. The risk is how to express, okay, what I call it the mood minor, how to express to these many things which are wrong. And it's normal that when you start to talk about this, the model of Landowski, we talk about socialities. There are many socialities around. Because what? Because all these things lateral. What I talk about when I go to space and talk about something, what we adjust is that is this kind of small elements who are not inside the structure. For me, intentionally, the definition of Landowski is to break this kind of rigid way, I don't know si le nom est en anglais, this rigid way to think about the structure. He talk about the structure, but what you say is that the structure is something is very flexible, very, very flexible. And the risk for me is kind of the main concept that we have to master in semiotics. And this concept is developed. So for me, the basis of my